Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora koutou. On behalf of the Waikura Linwood-Central-Heathcote Community Board, I want to start by thanking you all for the opportunity to present today. I also wanted to start by thanking Michelle Lomax for her work as Submissions Chair, and I know she would have liked to have been here today. I'd like to start by framing our kaupapa. The Waikouta board have gone with the less is more approach, which is obviously not what we've discussed earlier today, but we believe a succinct submission is appropriate. Our submission today is based on our community board plan, of which the board continually raises, and we are sure you'll be well acquainted with it by now. We want to acknowledge the context of our post-COVID environment and the strain on council's budget moving forward. We totally understand there have been and will be many difficult decisions to be made. The board thank you all for the mahi you have all put in up until this point, and we know the time you will all put in around this important piece of work will be immense. The board would also like to highlight the importance of involving the community in the spending of budgets in the area and ensuring that promises from council about operational spend are kept. Now, I would like to outline the demographics of the Waikouta Community Board. It's a vast area with wide-ranging socio-economic spread. It is important for us to recognise that while we have a range of demographics throughout our ward area, the Linwood ward has significant need, with almost 50% of our community living between levels 9 and 10 on the deprivation scale. The board recognises these figures and would like to state the support for our most vulnerable is the reason for our comments around rates, water, and uniform annual general charge. I briefly wanted to mention the engagement with the community from the board and how we've got through to today's point. The board have been engaging directly with community in different ways since the beginning and even prior to commencement with this current term. We have actively attended community galas, farmers markets, malls, and also had a community forum to get feedback from the community. Rather than expecting the community to come to us, we understand the importance of connecting in local places. The board also consulted widely on the board plan, of which this submission is based. We both have encouraged and support submissions from our local groups, such as the Phillipstown Hub, the Victoria Neighbourhood Association in regards to Gracefield Avenue and its upgrade to be rescheduled, and the Redcliffs Residents Association, along with many other groups and individuals. We thank them for taking the time to prepare and send their submissions in order to support their communities. I'm quite sure you have all read and are familiar with these submissions. On to our core priorities. As I said earlier, this submission is based on our community board plan and priorities. And I'm sure you're all aware of our major projects by now as we attempt to keep you all updated as we receive and have relevant information and progress to share. Our number one is, of course, Te Poutoetoi, our Linwood pool. You all know this is well underway and will be opening at the end of the year. And the board want to say a massive thank you for the operational spend, thus allowing us to get local people into local jobs. We have a community celebration for the opening planned for October and allowing greater outcomes for all in our community. There has been so much work happening in collaboration with staff, elected members and the community, and this work will enable growth of the wider community into the future. Our three main board plan projects are Bromley traffic concerns, greening of the east, and the Apawaho Lower Heathcote Working Party. All are underway, but will need additional support as they progress. We are hoping that the urban forest strategy will help green the wide and grey streets of the east of the central city. The board has not asked for big capital spend, but realigned operational spending from programs already underway, and always in collaboration with the affected communities. We will be vigilant in ensuring this happens. The board would like to ensure our master plan projects stay on the budget, recognising that Ferry Road, Linwood and Sydenham are all lower socioeconomic areas and are still impacted by lingering earthquake issues. While the four laning of the top end of Ferry Road has been deferred indefinitely, we have massive safety concerns for pedestrians in this area and would like to see this looked at properly and promptly. We are thankful to see the money on budget for the Sumner Village Green in the parks budget, but note it is out 3 years from the build of the skate park. We would like to strongly advocate to see this funding come forward in alignment with the Bay Skate Park work in order for more timely and financial efficiency by Council. Council have been clear in the past that aligning work makes sense, and we see a huge opportunity for this in this instance. The Waikouta board also have a lens on sustainability when looking at our projects, so understandably cycleways, especially our local links, are of importance to the board, and we advocate for seeing them connected both well designed and efficiently. The new Ferry Road Innovating Streets project, which we've all heard about today, looks great, and having something similar to provide safe access in other areas would encourage more people to cycle. The board have had a lot of feedback around the yellow inner city shuttle we used to have in the city. Many would find this a useful way to travel, especially with a growing inner city, and support this form of public transport. While public transport is an ECAN matter, we believe this could be something initiated by Council, as it has been in the past. In regards to community funding, the board would not support cuts to community grants. The added value of communities to communities far outweighs the monetary value, and in saying this also keeps local people locally employed. Community groups support the most vulnerable in our city and support community resilience building, food resilience, sustainability and biodiversity outcomes. They make the most of a huge number of volunteers and are essential to support. Can you imagine having to pay staff to do the amount of work that these volunteers do, or not having any of these groups at all? Getting back to the Waikouta board's kaupapa, while we absolutely appreciate the constraints COVID has put on us, we are still mindful of imposing increased financial burden to local communities, and this is why we would ideally see no increase to rates, especially for those in low-income homes. The current level of uniform annual general charge to nil. No to charging for water, therefore penalising those in our city who truly make it a garden city. No to changes in the levels of service and support that governance staff provide to boards and our communities. And again, please keep community funding to previous levels to best support our communities through these difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Jay?
Probably more a question for John, or well, actually, probably almost certainly a question for John. Appreciating that you touched on Gracefield Ave, that this probably is be fairly unusual to get an earmarking of funding at this stage of the annual plan for something that would be considered a new project. Would it be possible in the staff response to the board submission just to get a bit of an outline about what the best process would be for the community if they wanted to really advocate for that?
Yeah, I think I'm very familiar with this one too for a lot of the similar reasons, but this was one that was on the plan a number of years ago and came off the plan, so it is an appropriate time to raise it. So, but it will be reported back individually, but so it's right to raise that. Sorry, Sam, quick.
Hey, just really quickly, was the board unanimous in its view around abolishing the uniform general charge?
No,
No. Okay. Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you. So, look, thank you very much for taking the time to come and make a submission, and thank you for focusing so very specifically on the kaupapa of your community board. Thank you very
so
much.
much for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Waipuna Horsewall Horn